A Modern Tragedy, Volume 1, debut EP from Grandson, who joins us here in San Francisco.
Wow. I can't believe we did that on our first take.
You have so much work out there, it's like, I better make sure I get this right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I did.
There you go, you nailed it.
Welcome to San Francisco, man.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I feel like with your music and the things that you represent right now, you would fit in so nicely here with the history of San Francisco and activism and the progressive spirit here. Have you visited here?
I've had the opportunity. My sister lives here, so I've been able to come up a little bit. My dad spent some time here when he was kind of vagabonding around America, and I was super. Whenever I first got into classic rock, there was always San Francisco, you know, Jefferson Airplane, The Doors, the kind of like spiritual and cognitive political revolutions that were all kind of happening here at once in the late 60s and mid 70s is something that I think is in the DNA, in the fabric of rock and roll. So I hope to be able to contribute to kind of the legacy of having music that does unapologetically reference what's going on right now, and let rock and roll be the kind of speaking piece for the resistance, whatever that means at the particular given time.
Golden Gate Park has held a lot of festivals, and there's always these movements. There's always, we joke around locally here about all the protests and things that go on. Growing up, did you ever get exposed to that in where you grew up?
Not really. I mean,
Montreal,
it
Toronto.
wasn't. There was definitely a lot of resistance in Montreal to police brutality. Was always a thing there. I remember going to a couple of demonstrations like that. But Montreal in particular, it has a really vibrant intellectual community, and they kind of touch on, absolutely, when I was a student there, I was kind of surrounded by people that were really critically looking at the environment they were in, looking at the system they were a product of, and questioning it. But it wasn't really until 2015, in the beginning of the primaries, where I really started feeling any sort of personal responsibility, any sort of call to action. And here we are in 2018, and I feel that more than ever now.
Some people may judge others in terms of, well, gee, you weren't an activist your entire life, and now all of a sudden you're jumping on the bandwagon or what have you, right? It doesn't matter when you get involved, as long as you get involved,
yeah,
right? And the track Bills was kind of like that, one of those songs that really resonated with a lot of people. And then, of course, Thoughts and Prayers, which unfortunately has become an anthem in various cities now.
Yeah.
I saw you just did a show in Vegas.
Yeah.
Where unfortunately you have to, reference something that happened there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. First off, I think that, we're in a time where I don't think that being able to express your opinions politically, take stands publicly, or talk about mental health have ever been more widely accepted. And I do think that getting young people galvanized and empowered can take many forms and be, it can just be, it's okay that it's cool right now. It's okay that it's in vogue. The more that more people get involved in these spaces, the more that we can use our platforms to shine light, because these things have been happening long before Donald Trump was president. When we talk about issues to do with like gun violence and senseless massacring of high school students, when we talk about environmental policy and just in general a short-sighted political ideology that has constantly sacrificed tomorrow for today. And all of a sudden we find ourselves at this juncture and go, well, who's speaking in mainstream culture about these things? I think that rock and roll has always been there, but it needed a facelift in some ways. And then as far as Thoughts and Prayers go, it's one of those songs, whenever I introduce it live, I talk about how I just can't wait for the day where that song can belong in a museum somewhere and just be an irrelevant reflection of a culture that no longer represents us. But until we can hold our elected officials accountable to substantiate their thoughts and prayers with legislative action, with actual effort to curb this problem, then I don't think your thoughts and prayers mean personally.
I'm right there with you, man. I can't believe it. You fit in, like I said, here in San Francisco.
Yeah.
You're doing a show here tonight at the Fillmore.
Yeah, it's one of the few venues that really stands out to me as as like a bucket list moment. My favorite stand-up of all time is Dave Chappelle, For What It's Worth. It was filmed right here at the Fillmore in 2004. That's right. So everyone's like Jimi Hendrix, Jerry Garcia, and all these icons. I'm like, yeah, but Dave Chappelle, For What It's Worth. So I'm stoked, and it's gonna be really fun, and I'm so happy to get to spend more time in parts of America that are thinking about these things, that are asking these difficult questions about where America is and where it's headed. And San Francisco is always going to be somewhere where I feel like I'm going to bring my A game. So I'm stoked.
You're doing good stuff, man.
Thank you. Really? And really, it's like, especially at a project's infancy like this, it only goes as far as the music journalists and people with platforms to get music heard taking a chance. So I'm just happy to be here, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
really great to meet you, man.
See you tonight.
Yes.
Let's rock out, man.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, take care.
Grandson, you're watching B-Sides on Air.